Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Cassie here and thank you so much for clicking on another video. So in today's video, I thought it would be super cool for me to play devil's advocate and talk about reasons why people would not want to become a hygienist. So if you're new to my channel, I am a dental hygienist and I am one of the ones who actually loves the job, but I thought it'd be fun for me to play devil's advocate and talk about reasons why you might not be interested in the field. So if you are interested, then just keep on watching. Okay, so first things first, this is something that I've definitely mentioned before, but the job is extremely taxing on the body. And so what I mean by this is that not only do you get to the end of the day and end up being tired, it's so much more than that, because the job does require you to use a lot of your hands, a lot of movements with your wrist. In terms of your head, there's lots of motions with your head, and so it can be very physically taxing on the body. And so that is something for you to consider. If you are somebody who already has back problems, already has neck problems, already has hands and wrists and any sort of issues or problems in that area, that this job is something that will indefinitely add on to those problems. And so that is something that you need to know. Something that they're going to stress to you in hygiene school is how important it is for you to have good ergonomics. Okay, they're going to tell you how important it is to make sure that when you're scaling, that you're using your wrist and not pulling with your fingers. They're going to tell you to make sure that you are, if you are somebody who wears loops, make sure that you wear your loops so that you are not straining your neck, so that you're not straining your eyes, so that you're not tilting your head and using too much of your back. Okay, so to add on to that point, if you're also somebody who maybe doesn't have, you work in an office that doesn't necessarily have a large team and you are required yourself to do more of the day-to-day things, like for example, if you're in an office that only has one assistant and so you don't have your own assistant and you're doing everything that needs to be done for yourself, you will find that that is also taking a toll on just how you feel throughout your day, but also physically running around, you have more busy work that you're doing, and so that definitely plays a role in why the job can be so taxing. And so if you are somebody who doesn't necessarily have a team around you, then that is something to consider, is that you are going to be worn out just from the running around and doing the everyday tasks. Okay, so next up, and you might not think of this specifically when you think of dentistry, but office drama. This is something that comes with every job, right? No matter where you go, you mix people together. Some people get along, some people don't get along. There's tension and things are going on. And so in the dental office, we are working very closely with each other. We are relying on each other to get the job done, to make the day smoother. And so in some offices, you may find that management or doctors or whoever is in charge, that they don't always necessarily like intermixing. And so what I mean by that is sometimes in some offices, they want to separate or put a big line of divide between hygienists, assistants, doctors, front desk personnel. And I'm not sure always why that is. It really depends on the dynamic of the office. But if you work somewhere where management is trying to separate everybody, then that can put even more barriers, because what you don't want is to have an office where people feel less than each other. Everybody is playing a role, and if we all just focus on playing what the role is, it makes it a lot easier for us to support each other. But if we're in a place where management is attempting to divide each other based on rank and just making a point to separate you and not have you come together and be united, that is something to consider, because there will be a lot of drama. And if you are somebody who does not like drama, then this is something that you would want to know. Okay, so another point is that in some offices, the doctors don't really care necessarily about how you feel about the schedule. And so what I mean by this is sometimes you will find that your days are extremely overloaded, and so the workload isn't always necessarily balanced. There are going to be some days that are busier than others, and that's with any job. Sometimes they will just want more of you and more of you, especially when they see that you're very good or passionate in what you do. And so in their eyes, they want to reap the benefits of what it is that you bring to the table. And so you might find that you are just being stretched very thin. And that is also something that you might want to know. Okay, so next up, another thing that might cause you to not want to be in the dental hygiene field is that the patients vary so much. So if you are somebody who works in a general practice, maybe you are only seeing adults, you will find that a lot of people are very particular, and rightly so. However, it can affect your ability to do your job based on the kinds of patients who you have. If you are somebody who is working with children, then you know that majority of the children who come into the dental office, especially if they are very young, are afraid. They are very scared, and so there is a big barrier in the way of you being able to get your job done. And so you do have to make sure that you are somebody who is working on your communication and your people skills, making people feel comfortable. If that is something for you that doesn't necessarily come easy or something that you don't necessarily enjoy, then that's something to consider. For example, me working with kids, there are plenty of times that I have kids that are absolutely scared, will refuse to open their mouth and things like that, or sometimes the kids will bite you. Like, there are so many different things that go on in the dental office, and so those are all things that you want to consider. Are you okay with having to talk a child into opening their mouth to clean their teeth? Like, there are so many barriers when it comes to that. Another thing, and I feel like I want to add this into this specific point, is that if you are working with kids, sometimes the issue is not necessarily with the child, but it's with the parents. And I'm just telling you the truth, baby. It's actually interesting because I have been bitten by adults, by children, all the same. Listen, it happens. It's usually never actually on purpose. It's just, it happens, and that is something to consider. I remember, though, there was one time, this is the first time that a kid ever bit me on purpose, and I will never forget this because of the parents' reaction. So I was taking a look inside of the child's mouth. I was talking to the dad, letting him know what was going on. We were looking at things together, and I have my hands, like in check mode, right? So I have a mirror in my hands ahead, and I'm just checking, looking around, and the child leaned forward to bite my finger as I was saying something to the dad, and it hurt so bad. I will never forget how bad it hurt. I had to ice my finger, but the dad's immediate reaction was, wow, does it really hurt that bad? And I was just like, I just have to hold in my real reaction, because what the do you think? There have been times where patients have been like, oh, well, you're just the hygienist, as I'm reporting things to them that the doctor has said. And then the doctor comes over and will literally say word for word what it is that I said. And the patients will be like, oh yeah, okay, thank you, doctor. It's like, baby, I just told you what he said. He told me to tell you, and I told you, and you had a lot of spice for me. And now the doctor comes over, and it's like, okay, doctor. There's a lot of that in dentistry. So you will find yourself sometimes in positions where the way that you want to react is not necessarily appropriate for the situation. And so there is that other barrier where you have to keep your professionalism no matter how the patients behave. Okay, so yes, you can refuse to see somebody. There are things that, there are things in place to help you and to keep you safe and to protect you as well, but it's just something for you to consider. Okay, maybe you don't want to have to think about or deal with that at all, and that choice is totally up to you. And so listen, I it's not something that I want to deal with either, but it does happen. It does not happen in a way where it makes me say, okay, I can't do this anymore, but I wanted to share with you my experience just so that you can have a little bit of insight. With how busy the hygiene schedule is for the day, there are plenty of jobs that don't actually give dedicated times for lunch or break. In a lot of offices, you may find that the schedule is usually booked solid from start to finish. Lots of times the doctors are just trying to see as many people as they can, and so you might not always have a dedicated time for lunch. Or you do have a lunch, but it's not a specific time. It's just like you have to run and get your break when you can. Maybe it's not all at once. You might take 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. And so that is something that you would want to know. In some places where you don't have a dedicated time, you will get a break. It just won't be at the same time every day. Maybe it won't be for the same amount of time. It really just depends on the dynamic that you have going with the office, but that is something to consider. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please leave your comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.